Thank you, Mrs. Zoom. Okay, so I'm going to start off on all fours. So coming down to whatever space you've got, if you've got a mat or a rug or whatever you're on, come down onto all fours to start with, and then come down onto your elbows. So I'm going to start off with a modified scorpion, taking it into some hip circles. So picking up your right leg, turn it out so that the toes are leading, and then take that leg up and around across the body and split the legs like you're trying to rotate at the hips. So I'm really opening the hips to the side and trying to get my top shin parallel to the ceiling. And then it's going to continue the circle back down beside the other leg. So same again, turning the leg so the knee is in, the toes are out. You're leading with the toes out to the side, up and around in a massive hip circle, across the body, splitting the legs, shin parallel to the ceiling, and then finishing the circle off, coming back down. Same again, toes out, up, out and around. Hold it at the top, you just hit that high point, and we're holding it there. See if you can open the hips up a little bit more. To do that, you're going to need to press your left knee down into the ground, split the legs, pull the heel back towards your bottom, so you're really working the glute and the hamstring on that side, and then finish your circle. One more time, leading with the toes, out to the side as far as it will go, massive circle up and around, working the side glutes and then up and over, top glute, hamstring, pulling the heel back to your butt. The more you can split the legs and lift the leg, the more you'll get a hip flexor and quad stretch on the front, and then finishing the circle off. And we repeat on the other side. So left knee, turn the toes out to the side, the leg goes out, then up, around and over, splitting the legs. So you find that rotation, lifting your left hip bone up as high as it will go, heel to butt, and then complete the circle, bringing the knee back down beside the other one. Same again, leading with the toes, out to the side, around, up and over, splitting the legs, heel to butt, shin to ceiling, and finish your circle. Go again, toes out, up and around, heel to butt, shin to ceiling. One last time, finish your circle, lead with the toes out to the side, around, up and over. Hold it there and just see if you can get any more rotation. So pushing down into the right knee to split the legs even more. Make sure you're breathing. Easier said than done. And then finish your circle, coming all the way back down. From there, coming into frogs. So frog rocks, turning front ways on so I can get both knees on my mat. But your knees want to be as wide as you can. Still in that all fours position, but now with wide knees. And I'm going to take my feet. So as long as your knees are okay, if your knees are a bit shit, either or, go wide, narrower with your feet. Otherwise, take your feet as wide as your knees. So you should be able to see my toes either side of my knees. Horrible position to be in, but then he's going to start rocking backwards and forwards. And the focus is on the pushing back, or the rocking back. You stay there, just so you can see what I'm doing with my spine. So as I'm rocking back into the hips, trim more hip mobility, yes, right into the hip joint. You want to make sure that you're not rounding your spine. So I'm not here with my tail tucked under. I'm lifting tailbone to ceiling, trying to keep that curvature of my lower back. So rocking forwards and back. And then bring your elbows down to the floor. So just where your hands were, bring your elbows down. Continue that rock forward and back. And then I'm going to add on, I'm going to take your, let's go right leg. So as you rock forward, you're going to keep the knee on the floor, but you're going to bring the right foot up, like you're trying to bring your ankle bone to your shoulder. And then place it back down and rock back. As you come forward, other leg, rotate the thigh, pick up the foot, and then place it down as you rock back. So just switching from side to side. There's no kind of right or wrong with this. It's just a case of mobilizing into the hips in a position that probably none of us get into very often. Unless you do these sessions on a regular basis and you spend your life here. So for these next few, you might want to take your hands a little bit further away from you. So I'm just taking my elbows further away because I'm going to continue that movement. So as I come forward, I'm going to pick up the right foot and I'm going to keep going with it. And it's going to drive my right hip down into the ground. It's going to drive my body away and I'm looking left. So if I was to continue, I'd be trying to get my ankle bone now down to the floor. So I'm going to get there and then take it back. And remember to push backwards as well. So you get that real push back before you come forward. Left foot up, drive the hip down to the ground, looking over your right shoulder, and then pushing back. Repeat on the right. Right hip coming down to the ground, looking away, pushing back. Left heel or left foot coming up, hip driving now, looking away. Couple more. And last one left. Pushing back, and then walk your hands back. You want a little bit narrow with your knees. You'll see what I mean. You don't want to be quite as wide, maybe slightly wider than hip distance. Hello, Fairy Assistant. Gosh, it's freezing. You can tell it's winter when your cat comes in and your cat's fur is frozen. So here, my knees are apart, but my big toes are together. So as we come forward on this next one, the toes are going to lift. I'll show you what I mean. Or the feet are going to lift. So come forward to all fours. Like I say, my toes are together, so it's going to look like this. As I come forward, my feet are going to lift. Yeah, it's that action. So start with your bottom sat on your heels and walk the hands away. From there, keeping the chin to the chest, round the spine, and come forward. As your hips come forward, your feet are going to lift, and they're going to follow you. So you're pulling heels to bottom again, and you're going to drop the hips down and lift the chest up. So if I was to turn this slightly, see what I'm doing with my feet, but like a seal while I'm doing that. I'm squeezing my feet together, pulling my heels to my bottom. So we're back to that glute hamstring activation. And then going back exactly the same way, chin to chest, push the floor away to round the spine. The feet will come down automatically and you're back to your starting position. So again, pull the floor underneath you, round the spine as you come forward, lift the feet, lower the hips as much as you want to, but make sure you are still pushing the floor away with the hands. Squeeze the feet together, pull your heels to your butt, and then nod the head to round the spine to go back. One more like that, rounding forward. Feet squeezing, heels pulling to butt, pushing the floor away with your hands. And then rounding the spine to go back. Just take a moment there, just settle. You can rock the hips from side to side or give things a little bit of a wiggle. It's almost like a modified child's pose. And then release. Coming onto your bottom. So coming into a modified crab reach. I recognize it's kind of like a wild thing, but let's see where we get to. So our crab setup. Crab setup, you want your feet about hip distance apart, hands shoulder distance, fingers pointing away from you, and you're pulling your shoulder blades together to lift your chest up. Yeah, so it's a really proud chest, really proud chin. That's your crab position. So we're just going to activate here. So to get your hips to lift off the floor, we're going to push down into your arms. You'll see that I don't lift very high, but where it isn't, it's not this. So I'm not lifting my butt using my legs. I'm lifting my butt using the pressing down of my shoulders. So pressing down through the shoulders and then releasing. Pressing down through the shoulders and releasing. So it activates underneath your armpit. It's your lats, if you're interested. Massive muscle down the back of the body. Set the muscles. Keep going. Couple more. And one last time, lift and release. And then almost if your legs are hip distance apart, you keep it on that angle. You're just going to stretch out the right leg. Excuse me, you're still coughing and spluttering with my cold. So the right leg's out, pulling the toes back, so I'm pressing down into the heel. The other hand, So the left hand is going to come inside your left leg. So you've got your left arm in against your ribs. So it's a 3-point lift. You're going to press down into the foot, the heel, and the hand. And you're going to lift the hips up. You're going to come up onto your left toes. And then you're going to lower back down. So you're coming up with the hips as high as you can, your left toes. And just check when you look down at your bottom hand, you want your shoulder over your wrist. And coming back down. One more like that. Lift. And then release. And then we're going to add in the arm movement. So the arm's going to reach. All right. So like I say, modify the crab reach. As you lift the hips, the arm is going to reach overhead. And then you should find that you're able to lift that a little bit higher if you wish. Or you can keep it low. You don't have to come up that high. It's your choice. There's a lot of work on that back shoulder. Yeah. So lift and reach. Kiss the hips to the floor and lift again. Lift and reach. It's a massive stretch for pretty much everything. Move back down. Couple more. Here we go. And one last time. And release. Bend your right knee back in. So just check your crab position again. Otherwise, get organised in the middle. So you're starting off from a decent position. Then stretch out the left leg, toes pulling back to start with. Right hand comes inside, right leg. So just the lift to start with. So just coming up without the reach, just check in. So you've got the hip lift first. Heel lift to lift the hips higher. Look down at your bottom hand, just check that your shoulder's over your wrist or thereabouts. And then lower the hips back down. Same again, lift it up. And releasing back down. One more time like that. Lift. And lower. Then add in the arm reach as well. So as you lift up, the arm reaches overhead. I'm trying to get my upper arm to my ear, if you like. Elbow bent, and then release back down. And again, lifting. And lower. So you're getting a lot of work for the hamstrings and glutes this morning. Now we're getting into the shoulder. Keep going. Let's go one last time. Lift. And release. Good, not bad at all. Excellent. All right, so come in to sit on your bottom for side sit-ups. Not sit-ups, I always call them sit-ups. Press-ups. Side press-ups, single arm press-up or double arm, depending on your viewpoint. Right, so feet are together, toes are pulling back. I'm going to tick-tock the legs over. So the hands, you're going to come to the side. I always line them up with the edge of the mat. So your hands want to be in line with each other and almost on tram tracks with your legs. The feet are going to come over, so you're onto the side of the foot. So I'm rolling the hips over. The elbows bend, you're taking the front of your back shoulder and your ear to the mat. So they're not touching the hovering. This is your push-up part. And then the top leg, just to add an extra layer of complexity, is going to go back behind you and bend. So we're back to hamstring and glute again. You push the floor away as the leg comes back. And then you tick-tock to both sit bones, yeah? So once you get the hang of it, it flows quite nicely. So same thing, twist so the hands come down in line, legs come over, elbows bend, ear in front of shoulder down towards the mat, top leg bends away. And the further back you can reach, the more hip flexor you're going to hit. And then as you push the floor away, the leg comes back, and come back onto both sit bones. And then the idea is to try and let it flow a little bit. Yeah, it doesn't need to be quite so precise. So the hands come, the feet go. I take the push up and the leg goes. Push the floor away. And come back to seated. Oh, that's the other side. So a nice bit of rotation. Big hip flexor stretch. Pushing the floor away. Coming back up. And then if you want to add on, because it's supposed to be, not supposed to be, it leads into a single arm version. So the back hand is going to come down. The top hand goes away with the leg. So there's your single arm version. So a lot of work into the shoulder. and then coming back up. If that's too much, you get to here and you think, shit, I can't get off the floor. Use the other hand to help you come back up. Otherwise, back hand comes down, arm and leg move away. And then tick-tocking back up. Oh, sorry. Either both hands or one hand, doesn't matter. Both have value. So sneaky way of stretching your shoulder, your pec, your chest. One last time. You can also do straight leg, you could do bent leg, there's lots of stuff you could do with this. And then releasing back up. Good, let's just go with the straddle stretch just for a moment. A bit more work through the hips. So we're going to go 90-90 to straddle. So from here, you bend the legs slightly. You can play with how much bend, and then the legs are going to tick-tock over to one side. So 90-90-ish. Yeah. Coming back out, you've got to push the legs away back into your straddle stretch. They bend, and we go over to the other side. We'll push back out to your straddle stretch, bend and tick-tock to the other side. So you've got options here as well. You can turn the fingers behind you so that you've got some support, or you could do it without hands. No hands, no hands. Tick-tocking either side. But make sure you push back out to that straddle stretch. If you want to add on just slightly, when you push out to your straddle stretch, you can hinge forward into it, if you wish. 90-90-ish, and then straddle. And if you are going to hinge forward in your straddle, it's almost like you want to feel like you are pulling yourself forward and then using the legs, push down into legs to pick you back up. So you're not just sort of flopping into gravity. I'm trying to keep all of this nice and active. So switching side to side, hinge in the middle if you wish, but you don't have to. And pause it there. Okay, so we're playing with under switches this morning. I did put some videos on the group. I'll put a video on the group about under switches. So I get rid of my mat because I can't pivot on my feet. If you've got carpet, it's not so bad. If you've got a wooden floor, that works quite well. Otherwise, let's come into our beast position. So beast position, if you were to drop a plumb line from your belly button to the floor, that's the line that your knees are on. So if this is all fours, knees under hips, this is beast position with knees under belly button, for a better way of putting it. Otherwise, it's still hip distance apart and shoulder distance apart. So activating beast here, keeping the spine long, we're going to push down into the hands. You're going to hover the knees literally an inch off the floor. I'm going to hold, breathe if we can. So my knees are literally just hovering off the floor. So when the knees are lifted, we call this beast position. And you lower the knees and we call that static beast. All right. So that's your activation, like we did for crab. This is your activation for beast. Hover the knees. And then lower back down. So we're going to do a couple of under switches. Under switches means the leg goes underneath. It's dead easy to do it the other way. Everybody wants to go over the top. So if I was to do a left leg under switch to you, I'm going to pick up my left foot, my right hand, the left leg travels underneath, and I finish up in my crab position. Coming back, left leg lifts. You go push down into your right foot. You go get up on the toes, just like we were doing before, to pivot back through to beast. I love the fact that all three of you have just stopped and are just staring at the screen. Even you, Nick, and you've been doing this months. Go on, let's give it a bash. Let's go left leg under switch. All right, so left leg travels under, goes all the way under. You finish up in the crab position. Hand your foot come down. Put your foot down, Caroline. That's it. Go back the same way. Left leg lifts, right hand lifts. Left leg travels under. You're pivoting on your right foot. You go into beast. Let's go the other way. So right leg travels under. You come all the way to your crab. Right leg travels under. You come back to beast. Let's try it around in a circle. So left leg under switch to crab. Right leg under switch to beast. So it's almost like you've travelled in a circle. Back the other way. Right leg under switch to crab. Left leg under switch to beast. Nicely done. Okay, let's try. So remember the scorpion from the start. Nick, you've done this with me before, but the scorpion from the start, I'll demonstrate it for you anyway. So scorpion switch. So from your beast position, you're going to do the same thing. I'm turning my foot out, so I'm leading with the toes. The legs are going to come out, up, around, and over. So you're finishing up in this peak position. It's exactly as we did in the warm-up, except obviously I'm on my hands. Coming back the same way, out to the side, down to your beast position. Yeah. Let's give it a bash. Let's go left leg, scorpion switch. So hover the knees, lift the left foot, turn the toes out, drive the leg up and around, and check it at the top. So you want your right knees bent, right heel is out to the side. Now pushing the floor away with the hands, trying to get my shoulders to my ears. And then I'm trying to split the legs as much as I can, chin to ceiling. And try not to squash the cat on the way back down. So travel all the way back down, back to your beast position. If you need to rest your knees down, please do. At any point, come off your wrists. Otherwise, let's try the other side. Okay, so same thing, toes out, up and around. Hit that top position, make sure your left knee is bent. Left heel is high, but turn out to the left. Push the floor away. So your arms will be absolutely straight. Come all the way back down to your beast position. Good. One more each side. Come in the watch. Don't be shy. Left. Yeah, nice work. Okay, I'm coming back down. And the same again on the right. Right, Caroline, pause there. Straighten your arms, both arms. So as you push up, yeah, that arm, yeah. Or shoulder issue. Right, we'll have a word in a minute. Okay, we'll have a word in a minute. Otherwise, pretty good. Yeah, not bad at all. So let's add that in. Let's go from crab into a scorpion. So the only difference is you're starting in crab, obviously. So if I was to do left leg scorpion from here, I need to travel under my body. So the left leg's traveling, it keeps traveling up and around. So you're back to that position again. It comes back down. It comes through that beast position and you come back to your crab. So we've just added on that little extra bit. Yeah, looks complicated because it is. Let's have a go. Let's have a go. So where we start. All right, so left leg under switch up into scorpion. So left leg is going to travel under. The right hand is going to come down next to your left. So shoulder distance apart, same as usual. Keep traveling the left leg up and over. Push the floor away. And then when you come back down, the leg goes all the way under. As it passes into the body, the right hand lifts and travels over into crab. So we get on the other side. So right leg under switch into scorpion. And then travel back down over into beast. I'm doing this all super slow. It's actually a lot harder to do it slow. But given that you're learning, it's kind of where you build the strength as well. So let's finish off with our pretzel. Conscious of the time, I've kind of gone over a little bit of slowing stuff down. So turning onto your side, or lying down on your side, bend your top knee towards your chest and take hold of it with your bottom hand. So it's opposite hand, opposite knee. the back, you want to pick up your back ankle and take hold of it with the other hand. I'm basically tying you in a knot. That foot, pull on it to take your leg behind you into a quad hip flexor stretch. And then you're opening the chest to the ceiling. I'm gonna check what my cat's up to. It's making a lot of noise. So you're stretching the top glute, the bottom quad, the bottom hip flexor. You're rotating the chest open. There's a lot going on. But really the focus here is just breathing and trying to relax your body into this horrible stretch. If you stick with these sessions, you'll see me pretty much do this stretch every session. Just because it hits everything. And now when you come out of that, roll back onto your side so that you can pick your back foot up so that when you let it go, it doesn't twang away from your body, right? No twanging allowed out of that position. And then we'll turn over and do the other side. So same thing, lying on your side, top knee comes up, bottom hand over it. Grab hold of your bottom ankle, foot if you need to, but ankle if you can, and then pull that bottom leg behind you, opening the chest. So if all that seems sort of fairly straightforward, if you're having a minor panic attack here and struggling to breathe, don't try and add anything extra. If all that makes sense, kind of feeling okay, see if you can tuck your tailbone under. So if you can actively tuck your tailbone, you should feel more of a stretch down the quad and the hip flexor of that bottom leg. For most of us getting into this position, we're going to like overarch our lower back, which is not the end of the world. But ultimately, if you could get more of a neutral spine by tucking under, you just get that little bit more benefit. And control your breathing. So slowing the breathing down after all that work that we've just done. And then again, when you release, make sure you roll slightly so you can pick up your back leg so that when you let it go, it doesn't twang away from your body. No uncontrolled movements allowed. That brings us to bang on 7:30. So, well done, those of you that kind of decided today was the day. Nick, how'd you get on? You all right?
Yeah, always learning something. Today I really tried to focus on at the top of the scorpion, put really straighten my arms.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you want to kind of get that shrug. So Nick's been doing this for months, well, not months, couple of months. So you start to get into the nuances a little bit the further on you go. And yeah, you're quite right, Nick. There'll be one arm that kind of wants to bend in that position. And it's all about pushing and trying to close the gap between your shoulders and your ears. Yeah, brilliant. Right, Nick, if you want to go, that's fine. Otherwise, you can sit and listen to me chat to these two just to make sure they're okay. They're still here, so they're clearly not that pissed off.
Oh, well.
See you tomorrow. I'm going to stop the recording as well, chaps, and then you